present. Just so the members of the committee know, we have on the agenda a House bill. We're not going to be discussing that today. We have a Senate bill that's very similar with the exception of the effective dates, has already passed and is over in the House, and they're going to take that up tomorrow. And that date was effective on passage, where the House bill is effective July 1st. So instead of us changing this one and sending it back, they're just going to take up the Senate bill and hopefully pass that tomorrow. And then in the meantime, I'm going to hold House Bill 1307 just in case we need to do something with Medicaid. We've got a vehicle that we can do a strike all and add what we need. So anyway, now with that said, I'm going to skip to Senate nomination number 32, Mr. Drew Snyder. Welcome, Drew. How you doing? Got a little intro for us?
Yes, sir. Chairman Blackwell, thank you for allowing me to be here today. And I want to thank Governor Reeves for nominating me to this office. And he and his staff have been very gracious to me during this time. I couldn't attempt to do this without my wife, Camille, who wanted to be here today but agreed to stay at home given the unique circumstances that the pandemic has put us in. She is watching on YouTube, I'm told. As you all know, family support is critical in positions of public service, and I'm extraordinarily lucky to have her. I also want to thank the team at the Division of Medicaid. If you read the Mississippi Medicaid law, very little is written about the executive director, but there's a lot said about the duties of the Division of Medicaid. And it takes a lot of dedicated and adaptable people to make such a complex operation function properly. Without the men and women of the Division of Medicaid, I can guarantee you I would not be back for a second confirmation hearing. I've had the good fortune to work with some great people during my career, and Lieutenant Governor Hoseman is one of them. He persuaded me to leave private practice in D.C. and return to Mississippi about 8 years ago. Working under him showed me with the right people, the right approach, and a lot of hard work, a state agency can incorporate a lot of best practices of the private sector with good features of the public sector. He also set a great example of how to confront controversial topics in a way that was respectful to everyone. And I'm extremely appreciative of Governor Bryan and the governor's office and the time I spent there. And there are just so many other people who've helped me along the way. And I hope I'm deserving of their support. And I hope I've demonstrated over the past 2 years that the Mississippi Medicaid program is moving in the right direction. When I was named interim executive director in late 2017, the Division of Medicaid was facing a $50 million budget shortfall. Now we're going to have 2 consecutive balanced budgets and a carry forward of $35 million prior to COVID. We've introduced quality payments and begun the shift from volume to value. We've made progress in improving customer service and building healthy partnerships with our providers, and also supporting the implementation of legislative policies that have created a better experience for Medicaid members. I am confident that we can continue to move in the right direction, and I'm also mindful and acutely aware of the challenges that lay ahead. Over the next year, we are anticipating Medicaid enrollment to climb somewhere between 12% and 24%. Recognize there are financial strains for some of our providers, and that adjustments may be needed to ensure that Medicaid members maintain access to quality care. But I think we're in a good position to respond effectively to change while upholding the law as it's written, acting as good stewards of the resources entrusted to our care, and moving beyond the status quo. We will continue to maintain an enterprise approach, and by that I mean we will continue to look at the good of the whole, not just the good of the Division of Medicaid. We'll be transparent, and most importantly, we will operate with high integrity. I thank you for your time, and if confirmed, I look forward to, working together with you to improve Medicaid in the state of Mississippi. So happy to take questions.
Thank you, Drew. I'll just say, just for my year, or not even quite a year of working with you, it's been a pleasure to work both with you and your staff. You've been very responsive to all my questions, and I'm sure Chairman Wiggins, who's worked with you a little bit longer, may have some additional comments. For the benefit of the committee, I just want to point out on page 2, on the peer report, there were two issues one regarding the appointment, the governor's appointment letter. The letter that was originally sent had Mr. Snyder serving concurrently with the governor. However, it was supposed to read serving at the will and pleasure of the governor, and that letter is in your file underneath the peer report. The other component was the compliance with executing a bond, and Mr. Snyder had done that. Peer just did not receive the paperwork, and that bond paperwork is also included in your packet. And this does contain some confidential information, so if you would just leave your packets at the desk. And I'll open the floor to questions, members of the committee. Senator Wiggins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first, I commend Governor Reeves for this appointment. And the chairman is right. I just wanted to say, Drew, I appreciate your work that you've done, and I don't want you to get too comfortable. But no, the 4 years that I worked with you, and honestly, where Medicaid was to where it is now, at least judging by complaints and communication and stuff like that, I think is 180 degrees difference. For the most part. So, yes, you should be commended. I appreciate you signing up for another 4 years. And if you keep these next 4 years running the agency like you have the previous, I think we're all going to be in as good a shape as we could. So, thank you for what you've done, and your staff, I think, as you would agree, of putting the right people in place. Because you probably don't have all the answers, but it takes a good staff. So just wanted to say thank you for what you're doing on that. And Mr. Chairman, I would move to advise and consent at the appropriate time.
Any other questions by committee members? Heard the motion from Senator Wiggins. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
That's all we have. Hear a motion?
Rise and report.